Got me looking like a superstar. He's my Barber.
So we start by first trimming the beard and mustache according to the client's preference. Next, I take out the blade and begin cleaning the client's eyebrows. The shape will always depend on the client's preferences. However, as a rule of thumb, it's best to shape the eyebrows in the most natural form possible. Here, I use the trimmer in order to clean up any excess and undesirable hairs growing on the client's ears. Next, I carefully line up the outer and lower edges of the beard. Notice how I use both hands in order to keep the blade on the trimmer more stable. Now, I proceed to use the blade, in order to carefully shave the upper part of the client's beard, as well as any excess and undesirable hairs growing on the client's cheek. Notice how I frequently stretch out the client's skin, in order to facilitate the shaving process. Next, I carefully shave around the area between the rear of the client's beard and his ear, removing any excess hairs found here. Then, I proceed to gently line up the back of the client's beard. Lastly, I alternate between the electric shaver and trimmer, in order to finish shaving and shaping the bottom part of the client's beard, making sure to thoroughly remove any hairs around the neck area. Next, I proceed to carefully shape and shave around the client's mustache, being extra cautious not to cut, nor nick the client's nose or nostrils. Occasionally, there will be stubborn hairs growing in hard-to-reach places around this area. Notice again how I continue to stretch the client's skin, in order to facilitate the shaving process. It's always helpful to pull down on the client's upper lip, to make it easier to shave between the mustache and nostrils. Now, I spin the client around, in order to work the opposite side of the beard and mustache. And just as I did on the other side, I'm going to start by using the clippers to trim the facial hair to the desired length. Next, I'm going to use the trimmer to align and refine the beard and mustache. Also, I'll be using the trimmer to trim and align the mustache hairs above the upper lip. Now, I'll be using the electric shaver once again, in order to thoroughly shave the neck area, and also, to shape the bottom of the beard. Next, I'm going to use the blade again, to shape the rear, as well as the upper part of the beard. As I work my way along the sides, I'll be sure to shave and remove any excess and undesired hairs, on, and around the ear. As I did before, I'm going to shave any hairs growing on the cheek. Again, I continually stretch out the client's skin, in order to facilitate the shaving process. Now, I'm going to finish shaping the upper part of the mustache. Lightly tapping the area where you need the client to put down their lip, is an effective method for communicating that information. Lastly, I'm retouching the opposite side of the mustache, in order to make sure both sides are aligned correctly. Here, I finish shaping the eyebrows, making sure both sides look as natural and symmetrical as possible. In addition, I carefully remove any hairs between the eyebrows, in order to avoid the undesirable unibrow. Next, I use the electric shaver to remove any facial hairs left on the cheeks, neck, and upper mustache area. Lastly, I use the clippers and trimmer, in order to blend the topmost section of the sideburns into the beard. Here, I use the trimmer in order to clean up any excess and undesirable hairs growing on the client's ears. Finally, after dusting off the client with talc powder, I remove the barber cape, and proceed to collect the payment.
Got me looking like a superstar. He's my barber. Got me looking like a superstar.